Yeah, it's going to be a couple months, and biggest thing is mobility and um, just the range of motion, and then the strength and stuff will work out. But I'm going to be working with some great doctors and great staff that's dealt with this process before, with a lot of professional baseball guys, and make sure that I come back even better than before.
So, and here's my thing, right? I think everyone who is a Cleveland fan or anyone that's part of the Cleveland Browns organization has definitely been waiting to see what they paid $230 million guaranteed for. And right now, I want to say that we've only had a sampling of what Deshaun can do. If we look at the stats, right? If we go right to the stats, you guys know I'm a stats man. I'm a stats man. Let's get into the last two seasons. Obviously, as you see here, back in 22, he played for 6 games. He had 99 completions, 170 attempts, 58.2% for the completions, 1,102 yards, averaged 6.5, 7 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, 20 sacks. And then obviously coming back this year, everyone thought that he was going to, come out and be great and, go out there and just really take over this franchise. Well, he played 6 games this year, 105 completions, 171 attempts, 61% of completion percentage, which he increased on last year, 1,115 yards, which he increased on last year as well. Still had the same average of 6.5, but he had one less interception and the same amount of touchdowns. So, it's one of those things where it looks like it's going to be better on the board and he's going to go out there and win. But he's got to get surgery. So he'll be out. So what happens to this Browns franchise now with him being out for the season? Well, if we look at the schedule, obviously they took the win against the Bengals, lost to the Steelers, one against the Titans, lost to the Ravens, one against the 49ers, one against the Colts, lost to the Seahawks, one against the Cardinals, and then one against Baltimore. So, yeah, I mean, they were basically winning without Watson at some point. So can it be done without him now? Sure, because guess what? They're bringing in Dorian Thompson-Robinson. And if you were rocking with me in the preseason games when we were streaming the Browns games, I did say that I actually did like Dorian. I liked his footwork. I like his ability to read the field and the defense. And his arm was decent. So before anyone tries to write the man off, that's who they will be going with against the Steelers on Sunday. Now, if we get into Dorian's stats for the preseason, now everyone's going to say, well, Jay, it was preseason. It doesn't really matter. I really do think preseason matters because it's going to showcase and highlight some people's attributes and what they can do on the field. But the real problem is now is we're in the middle of the season. And this is where things get a little tricky as far as, who steps it up and who doesn't. But with that said, if we just look at a couple of things here, and I'm going to point out one really crazy thing. The Cleveland Browns actually had Joshua Dobbs, as you can see there on the roster in preseason. Then let him go. And now the Vikings have him. So that's kind of interesting how things work out. But I can kind of figure out why they got rid of Dobbs and kept Dorian on board. So he was 9 of 10. He had 102 yards. His average was 10.2. He had 1 touchdown, 0 interceptions, 0 sacks. Joshua Dobbs he was 8 for 16, 77 yards. He only averaged 4.8 and had 1 interception, no touchdown, and he had a sack. So I get it. But then if you go back and look at the Eagles game, Dorian Thompson-Robinson played there as well. He was 13 of 25. He had 164 yards. He had 6.6 on the average. No touchdowns, no interceptions, had 1 sack. But the game was tied. It was a tied game. So, like I said, when we were going through the preseason games and we seen what Dorian did as far as the speed and things like that, I think this will be a good matchup for the Browns. Their defense has been upstanding, but that's not to say that the Steelers can't do it as well because they have a great defense. So the real question is Dorian ready? That's it. That's going to be your main question. Is Dorian going to be ready getting into this game for the Browns against the Steelers? And I think he will be. P.J. Walker, as much as he's done, I think he could be still the person to go out there and make it happen. But putting Dorian in for right now may make sense against the Steelers. And then the Broncos and the Rams. You get into Jacksonville, Bears, Texans, Jets, Bengals. If you have a winning record and you're looking at potentially being in the playoffs, you're really, really going to have to put a solid game plan in place for these Browns leading into the last weeks of the season. So there it is, ladies and gentlemen. Deshaun Watson's out. Dorian Thompson-Robinson will be in. And we'll see what happens.